Also, in computer forensics, there is no button, one single button that you can click to say find all the evidence. Unfortunately, that is still a very manual process that we have to go through. We have to look at that hard drive. We have to read emails. We have to go through all that information looking for evidence of that crime. We haven't been able to build the find evidence button. And the problem is getting worse. The problem for us, our challenge is getting worse. And the reason why is because more and more computers, more and more digital evidence is being seized every single day on crimes. Why? Why are more computers being seized? Well, because our law enforcement and prosecutors are getting smarter and they realize that it's no longer child pornography or computer hacking that is digital evidence. Every type of crime, whether it's murder, whether it's rape, whether it's terrorism, it doesn't matter. Any crime, what's fraud, everything has digital evidence. And that's the reason why they're seizing more and more of those computers. The problem is even worse because the operating systems continue to get more and more complex and evolve. And so while this is difficult for law enforcement because we have to understand the evidence that can be found on that computer, it's also good for us because it's tracking all these items. Did you realize that every time you put a thumb drive into your computer, that your computer is remembering exactly the date that you first put that thumb drive into your computer, when was the last time that you put that thumb drive in your computer, for the whole life of that computer. We have seized computers and found hundreds of thumb drives, some that were put in 2-3 years ago, and we could track every single one and tell you when was the very first time they put that thumb drive into the computer and who was using it, and when was the last time that thumb drive was put in. Tremendous amount of information. And unfortunately, because of all of this, the time that it takes to do digital forensics or computer forensics is taking longer. It's taking longer and longer. Now, because I'm talking to prosecutors and judges here, I don't have to tell you the most important thing to you is time, right? You don't, if the law enforcement are investigating a case and they're doing digital forensics, you cannot wait for them to finish their forensic analysis if it's going to take them 6 months or a year or 2 years, because more crimes could be happening, more victims could be victimized. You need that information fast, timely. A little bit more bad news. I'm beginning to sound very, sad. I don't mean to make you sad this morning, but I'm just talk about the potential problems in digital evidence. We're missing evidence. We're actually missing it. We're seizing computers, but we're missing digital evidence. When I first started in computers, in computer crime, it used to be very, very easy for me to find exactly where digital evidence was. When I went into a business, if I was looking at a business, I knew, that's not a very bright light, is it? I brought, how's this? This is my play toy. This is a weak pointer. You can barely see it. See it? Oh, how about that, huh? Yeah. So this, I have to keep it moving, otherwise it'll start a fire. This was a business computer, and when I was in the business, this was easy to find, these big computers, because they were like refrigerators. When you went into a home, it was easy to find computers because they were the big desktops. So it was very easy to identify exactly where digital evidence was. But that's not the case anymore. Nowadays, digital evidence comes in a variety of shapes and sizes. You have hard drives that you can carry around in your shirt pocket. This is a new one that I just got, just to show you. This is 500 gigabyte hard drive. Now, it's got this neat little key right here, this tiny little key, because if I don't put this key into the hard drive before I plug it into the computer, it's completely encrypted. So if law enforcement takes this hard drive from me, if they don't know that there's a decryption key, there's no way they can find any information on this hard drive whatsoever. It'll just look like it's a blank hard drive. Lots of storage, lots of different devices. Also, we see they're very small. Let me just show you this. This is I carry this around with me all the time, everywhere I go, in my wallet. Here we go. In my wallet. This is an 8 gigabyte thumb drive. 8 gigabyte thumb drive. If you printed all the information on this thumb drive out, this would be 8 stacks of paper, the height of the tallest building here in Bangkok. What is the 1,000 feet high? It's a little over 1,000 feet high. It would be 8 stacks of paper as tall as that building that's in my wallet. So we also say big things come in small packages. Since I'm a short person, I always like to say that the big things come in small packages. Also, digital evidence is in different forms. They're not just hard drives or thumb drives. But does anybody recognize what these devices over here on the left are? See these little antennas? Do you see what that is? It's a router, right? It's a router for your internet. And most of you probably have this at home. It's a wireless router. Now, what's important about a wireless router to law enforcement and to prosecutors? We have criminals every day that are caught doing criminal activity on the internet, and they have a wireless router in their house. If law enforcement does not take that router and look at it, sees it, it has logs, it has information on there about their activity. If they don't take it, when the criminal gets to the court, our criminals have tried to tell the judges, Your Honor, that was not me that committed that criminal activity. That was somebody that came close to my house or my neighbor that can connect to my internet connection, and they went out and committed that criminal activity. So it wasn't me. Law enforcement must understand where digital evidence is so that they can evaluate it, so that they can give the judge all the information and say, Your Honor, Judge, yes, he did have a wireless router, but we looked at it, and no one else connected to that wireless router and committed that activity. It was only him that was connected. So, but if you don't have that information, when you get to trial, it's very difficult for the judge to make a determination of what happened if they don't have all the information, right? Also, this right here is one of my routers at the house. What's interesting about this is that inside this router, this wireless router, is a 500 gigabyte hard drive. This router alone, just this little device, you can take every computer out of my house, every single computer, and this hard drive is its own web server, all by itself. It's a web server. It's also a file transfer protocol server, an FTP server. So if I wanted to share intellectual property crimes, pornography, child pornography, you name it, I can put anything on this router and never even have a computer in my house. And all that evidence is right there on the router. If you just take their computers, then you could be leaving behind all the evidence of the crime. Valuable information. Knowledge is power, just knowing that it's there. Now, law enforcement and prosecutors understand, hey, we need to look further than just the hard drive. Voice recorders, everything, tons of information. Cell phones. I see everybody has a cell phone. Well, cell phones don't just make telephone calls anymore, right? When we started, they sent telephone calls and they received telephone calls. That's not the case anymore. Now, there are many computers. There are little computers that are in our pocket that can surf the internet. I can connect from my cell phone to my computer at my house and control it. I can actually see my computer screen on my iPod and I can control my computer. I can watch television off of my computer at home on my cell phone when I'm driving or when I'm at the office. Not when I'm driving, that would be dangerous, but when I'm at the office. So, and I will routinely, when I'm driving home, Washington, it was funny this morning when we were driving here from the hotel, they were telling me, I'm sorry, traffic is bad this morning. I said, this is nothing. This is every day in Washington. Traffic is much worse than this. This was easy. We kept moving. We never stopped. In Washington, you stop for long periods of time. But I will frequently get on my phone, log into my computer at the house, turn on the television, and see what is the news saying about what's the problem with the traffic. Is there an accident? So I know whether I need to take a different route. That's a lot of power just in a cell phone. Now, when we're investigating somebody, you must always take their cell phone. And we're going to talk a little bit more about cell phones because the other information that cell phones have, such as GPS location, exactly where they were. How many people have an iPhone in here? How many people have a, yes, a couple? Are iPhones popular here in Thailand? Oh, the Samsung Galaxia. How many people have the Android, the Samsung? Very popular. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. Do you know that these devices are recording where you are when you're using certain applications? There are programs on there that you can say, I want to find where is the best restaurant for Italian food or Chinese food. It'd probably be hard to find the best restaurant in Thailand for Thai food, right? It's everywhere. So, but every time you use one of those applications on your phone, it is actually collecting and recording where you are. GPS coordinates of exactly where you are standing when you use that application. Okay? And it's keeping a track of that. So just by investigating that phone, you can draw a map with dates and times where they were and what they were doing on those phones. Tremendous information. Also, one thing, we have had law enforcement, beginning of this year, there was a lot of law enforcement in the United States that was calling us and saying, hey, I have an iPhone here, but it's locked. It's got an encryption device or a password, and we cannot get into it. That's not a problem. First thing that you have to realize is most of these smartphones, even though they may have a password, they synchronize with your computer. And they connect them to your computer, and they do backups automatically. Well, on the computer itself, particularly for iPhones, in the iTunes directory, there is a complete copy of that cell phone. Even though it has a password on it, this, by default, is not password protected, and you can go in and see every phone call that they've made, every text message that they've sent, every photograph that they've taken, every video that they've used, every GPS location where they have been, every website they've searched, everything, all from the backup on their computer that they connected their phone to. That's powerful. So what we've been telling our law enforcement is if you take somebody's cell phone, you also want to see, do they have a computer? Are they connecting that phone to that computer? Because you definitely want to take that, because maybe they could destroy that information on a cell phone. There is, both for the Android as well as the iPhone, there's software that will allow you to remotely destroy and erase the information on that phone. So if you lose your phone, you can send a message to that phone that the next time it's turned on, it will delete everything on it. We have had law enforcement lose information because they took someone's phone and they turned it off, and when they got back to the police station after they had let the person go, they turned the cell phone on to make a copy of it, and as soon as they turned it on, the criminal had sent a message to that phone to say, erase everything. And before they could copy the information, it was all gone. Very valuable information.